येन तस्मै वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So today we shall be discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 6th chapter, text number 5 onwards. Narada Uvacha Vikshupir Vipravasite Vijnanadesh Mama Vartamano Vyasya Ade Tata Etad Akarasham. Shri Narada said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. So here, Narada Muni is narrating, as we discussed last time. Narada Muni is narrating about his previous life history, what transpired after he received the mercy of the saintly persons. So he's narrating here that the saintly persons, after imparting knowledge to him, scientific knowledge about the Supreme Absolute Truth, they went away to other place. And he started following, the lifestyle according to the instructions and the teachings of these saintly persons. So he was not always at the association of the sages. He just received the instruction from them, and then after they left, he actually started following their instructions. So this is a very significant lesson here. The Narada Muni, he received instructions and he started following it. Spiritual life is not simply for kind of pious entertainment. It is also meant for following. So we receive the transcendental knowledge and the instructions from Guru and the other Vaishnavas, and then we try to put it into practice in our life. Because without practice, it simply becomes theoretical knowledge, and in due course of time, it is forgotten. Now, if the knowledge that is not practiced, it is forgotten. And that we can see even in our material life. We studied so many things in the school. From time to time, you keep remembering. Like just now, I'm remembering that in our school, we studied about, different kinds of esters or, fragrances, chemical fragrances, how they are made. But because we never practiced that knowledge, is completely forgotten. The process which was taught to us, how you can create different fragrances chemically, which chemicals combination creates which kind of artificial flavor or fragrance, which is very much used nowadays in food industry. But but somehow that because we don't practice that knowledge is forgotten. Same thing is true. Of course, spiritual knowledge is something, when a person receives spiritual knowledge, it may be forgotten due to the neglect or offenses. But when the opportune moment comes, Krishna again reminds us that. But still, if you are not practicing, if you are neglectful of the knowledge, it will be forgotten. So this is the significance. Narada Muni, after hearing the instructions, he actually started practicing those instructions and living a life of, according to the instructions of those saintly persons. We go to text 6. Ekatmaja me janani yoshin mudha cha kinkari mai atmache nyanyagato chakre snehanu bandhanam. I was the only son of my mother, who was not only a simple woman, but a maid servant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with the tie of affection. Go to text 7. Sasavantatra nakalpasid yogakshemam mamechati ishyasa hi vashe loko yosha daru mayi yatha. She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. The world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. Text 8. Aham cha tad brahma kule ushivam sad upekshaya digdesha kala vyopta panno balaka panchahayana. When I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Text 9. Ekada nirgatam gehat duhantim nishigam pati sarpodhashat pada sparshtam kripanam kalachodita. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by the supreme time. Purport. That is a way of dragging a sincere soul near to God. The poor boy was being looked after only by his affectionate mother, and yet the mother was taken from the world by the supreme will in order to put him completely at the mercy of the Lord. So, this is actually a beautiful history here. How Narada Muni took this is actually explained in the 10th verse. Tada tad aham ishasya bhaktanam sham abhishpata abhisata anugraham manyamana pratishtham disham uttaram. I took this as a special mercy of the Lord, who always desires benediction for his devotees. And so thinking, I started for the north. Now, this is actually a beautiful series of verses here. So, Narada Muni's mother, she wanted to look after her only son. We can understand in this world, if ordinary people, some, and we're not talking about exceptional cases, but ordinary people, they're very much attached to their families. So for a woman, it's very natural to be attached to the child. It's natural for her to be attached to the husband. It's natural for the parents to be attached to the children. It's natural for children to have attachment to the parents in the childhood. But when they grow up, their attachments change. They shift from the parents to, so many other things. They get attached to, opposite sex. They get attached to earning money, and this way things keep shifting. So in this case, mother of Narada Muni, she was very much attached to the child because, in the Vedic culture, generally a woman would always be protected by her husband, and in the childhood by her father, in the youth by her husband, and in the later age by her children, grown-up children. So naturally she was attached to the son because she thought the son was the source of her protection. But of course, the son was only 5 years old, so she looked after him and protected him. This is how the material creation actually works. Just give me a second. So this is how actually the material creation works. In this world, different living entities are instrumental for protecting and annihilating each other. There's a beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which says, the Supreme Lord, He is the ultimate cause of everything. He maintains a child through the agency of parents, and he maintains the subjects through the agency of the government or a king, and he annihilates the living entities through the different agents of death. Like, in this case, we're reading snake biting the mother of Narad Muni and she dying, or in some cases some wild animal, or in some cases some thief or dacoits, they kill people, or in some cases the government agencies or the correctional department may kill a criminal. So in this way, different living entities become instrumental in maintaining and annihilating each other. Actually speaking, the spirit soul is eternal. We all are eternal by nature. But because we very much identify ourselves with this body, therefore we are subjected to a repetition of birth and death. And birth and death and maintenance in between takes place ultimately under the will of the Supreme Lord. You'll see in this world sometimes, parents, they take a lot of pain and struggle to maintain and take care of the child. And the same child grows up, and there is a lot of, difficulty in relationships. The same parents are willing to even kill the child. Or they wish that their child should have died early. It happens, many times it happens. So the things change in this world. Similarly, there's actually a beautiful instance from the Puranas that how even in the family life, different living entities may just come together to give reaction or karma to each other. So one time, one Brahmana, he was going out and begging, and he came to a crossroad, a 4-road, junction, a crossroad. So when he was right at the cross junction, a cow came running from one side and ran away in another direction and disappeared. After a while, a butcher came. He was holding a knife or a sword or something like in the hand. He asked the Brahmana, did you see the cow going this way? The Brahmana said, yes. And he directed with the hand, this way she went. So he directed like it went in this way. And he forgot the instance. Many years went by, some 20, 25 years went by. The Brahmana became very old now, but Brahmana is supposed to beg. So one day he was begging in a village. He went to a village to beg, and he knocked on the one door, and a door opened. A very young girl, very beautiful young girl, she opened the door, and he said, my dear daughter, please give me some charity. She said, yes, please come inside. So Brahmanas were invited always inside. So he went inside, and the lady, the girl, she actually closed the door, and she actually approached the old man saying that, I want to have union with you. And the Brahmana was shocked. He said, are you crazy? You're like my daughter, granddaughter's age. This is not at all appropriate. But she insisted, she kept insisting, and she was forcing the Brahmana. In the meantime, the door opened and the husband of the girl walked in, and he witnessed everything. Now the girl realized that my husband is going to tell the whole village, and I will be, very much severely punished. So she immediately took a knife and killed her husband. Before the husband could understand anything, she killed the husband. And then she started shouting and screaming, "Oh my God, this Brahmana killed my husband, my Brahmana killed my husband." And the whole village appeared and they asked that, why did Brahmana kill the husband? And she said, he was asking me to have union with him, but I was refusing, and my husband came to rescue, to stop him, and he killed my husband. And in general, in such a situation, people do tend to take the woman's word to be true, and that's what happened. The villagers thought that the Brahmana is actually a culprit. But in the Vedic culture, according to Vedas, the Brahmana cannot be given death punishment. So the villagers, the head of the village, he consulted and said, what punishment should be given to him? So they came to conclusion, because he has used the hand to kill the man, his hand should be cut off. So his hand was chopped off. He tried to plead that he was not the culprit, but because he was held culprit, and he was given punishment. So in tremendous pain, he came back to his village, and after few days, when he was a little better, he went to one Jyotishi, one astrologer, who could see past, present, and future. He was like a Trikalagya. He said, "My dear sir, could you please tell me that why I have to suffer this way? I haven't done any sinful activities. I have been living a very sober life as a Brahmana. I never did anything wrong. Why have to suffer?" So the Jochi, he could go into the trance, and he realized what had happened. He said, many, many years ago, in this lifetime itself, many years ago, when you were begging in a certain place, and you came to a crossroad, and a cow came from one direction. He said, yes. And then a butcher came. He asked you which way that cow went. He said, yes, I told him. He said, that's how you got implicated in this whole transaction. Because the butcher went and he killed the cow. And after some time, the butcher also got killed. He died some way. Now in this lifetime, the butcher appeared as the husband, and the cow appeared as the wife, the young girl. So because in the previous life, the butcher had killed the cow, in this life, the wife was supposed to give him reaction by killing him. And because in the whole transaction, you were involved with your hand, indicating to butcher which way the cow went, so your hand was also punished appropriately. You see, in this world, we don't realize, sometimes we get, very affectionate to some relationships, and the relationship gives a lot of trouble. And sometimes we don't have any attachment, but the relationships, they keep maintaining and helping us a lot. This is nothing but the unseen karma unfolding. In fact, I remember our school teacher used to tell us very often that when you see some family member, like we see sometimes, family member, becomes very sick, hospitalized, and we may think, oh, my family member is suffering, and we suffer agony. But our school teacher used to say that the agony that we suffer through that relative who may be, in the hospital, near and dear in the hospital, is actually giving us karma back. We must have tortured or made that person suffer in the similar way. So that person, through that suffering, is giving us suffering, mental. But in the case of Narad Muni, because he was imparted knowledge, transcendental knowledge by the sages, when his mother died, he did not suffer agony. Just imagine a small child, 5-6-year-old boy or child, if he sees the mother, the only source of his sustenance, died, he would suffer tremendously. But Narad Muni took it to be the mercy of the Lord. So this is actually a very significant lesson. When a person takes to Krishna consciousness, everything transpiring in his life appears to be mercy. If a person is sincere in Krishna consciousness, no matter what happens in life, the person is able to see that as the mercy of Krishna. But a person who's not sincere in Krishna consciousness, no, even little difficulty, you'll think, why Krishna is being so cruel? Maybe God doesn't exist only, and tends to lose faith in Krishna. But for a sincere soul, every happening in life, whether good or bad, is only seen as a blessings of Krishna. So this is how Narad Muni also took. He took it as a blessing, and he took it as a special mercy of the Lord, and he started traveling. Now we go to text 11. Svitan Janapadam Statra Puragrama Prajakaran Kheta Kharvata Vatishcha Vanani Pavanani Cha. After my departure, I passed through many flourishing metropolises, towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, and natural forest. So here we see Narad Muni is traveling. And when he's traveling, what he's traveling through? He's traveling through cities, he's traveling through towns, he's traveling through villages, the animal farms, the mining operations, agricultural lands, the gardens, nurseries. So there is no mention of any industries. There's no mention of any slaughterhouses. Narad Muni did not witness any of those. These are all creation of the modern human beings. In fact, this human form of life, people don't realize the simple thing that this human form of life is not meant for unnecessarily slogging, simply to fulfill the animalistic needs of the body in terms of eating, sleeping, sex, and defense. There's no need to work very hard for that. But people are so foolish, and especially in this modern age, that they don't realize the very vital energy of human life is being wasted simply to struggle and work hard. Work hard for creating more and more things which are not really required. Srila Prabhupada actually, this is actually the example some devotee told Srila Prabhupada. One time Socrates, he was taken to a big kind of a shopping place, or we can say in modern terminology, mall, a big mall. So he went through with his followers throughout the stores, many stores, so many places, things. And when he came out, he told the followers, There are so many things in this world I can live without. Just imagine, when we go to do shopping in a particular mall or a place, there are so many shops, so many department stores, big stores. If you simply go to any big store like Walmart or any other Costco or any other place, so many varieties of things are kept in food, clothing, electronics. So many things are there and on display. And not everyone will have everything. And in fact, everyone doesn't need most of those things. For survival, you don't need most of those things. But people struggle, work very hard, because they are made to believe if you do not possess this, then your life is waste. And this is all because the modern administration of the society is being done by the Shudras and lower than Shudras. In fact, in every section of society, we do not have people other than Shudra and lower than Shudra. In Vedic society, in a Varnashram system, there used to be Brahmanas who used to study the scriptures and understand the goal of life and teach the society about the goal of life. In today's day and age, if you go and ask people, what is the goal of life? 99.99% people, first of all, they don't even think about what is the goal of life. When you ask them, they feel surprised, or they look at you as if you are a species or alien, some alien species. What do you mean by goal of life? Do we really need one? If you ask me immediate goal, yes, I want to buy a nice home. I want to buy this car. I want to buy this jewelry. So in this way, people have immediate goals. But the ultimate goal of life, nobody even thinks about it. Nobody even thinks that I'm going to die maybe in a short while. At the most 50, 60, 100 years, I'm going to die. Nobody even thinks about it. And people spend all their precious time and energy to possess the things of this world. People are busy in collecting the things of this world. We should not be working to collect things. Even if one wants to live happy in worldly way, forget about spiritual way. Even in worldly way, one should not be running after collecting the things, but collect the moments. Moments means the exchanges with the relatives, our family members, our friends. When we have loving exchanges with our near and dear ones, that creates some good memories. Not collecting things, they don't create any good memory. Even if you have the best phone now, trust me, after 2 or 3 months, it is not a charm. At the most, in 3 months, it's not going to be charming you. Even if you have the excellent car made of gold and studded with jewels, it won't give you joy after a few months. Because things don't bring any happiness, real happiness. It is the exchanges, the loving exchanges with others that bring moments of life. Therefore, people try to click pictures. But nowadays, even clicking pictures has become so, kind of cheap. I remember when we used to grow up, clicking picture was only a very rare, sweet moment when you would actually click the pictures. Now everyone can click pictures, and there are no memories actually. created. People used to maintain albums. I remember my brother's marriages, they had created the albums. And even after years, many, many years, even after a decade, they would just go through the album because there was memories. So the whole point is, in the modern society, people are forced to believe if they possess more and more things of this world, then they'll be happy. And to possess the things of this world, they have to work hard. They have to work hard for possessing something that is absolutely useless from a happiness perspective. So Narada didn't experience any of the big industries or big corporates to suck away the energy of human society. He saw agricultural lands, which are absolutely essential. You need agriculture to produce food. You need mines to have the basic metals and ingredients for constructing the homes and the necessities of life. You need animal farm because animals are very much used. Nowadays, people think animals are only used for eating. Modern society only knows two animals. Animals, all animals for eating, which are slaughtered and slaughtered. And they keep some pet animal, one pet or two pets at home, and then they keep other animals in the refrigerator for eating purpose. But animals are required. Anyway, villages, towns, cities were also existing before as well. Cities are not modern creations only. Even millions of years ago, when Narada Muni, in the previous kalpa of Brahma, there were cities, there were metropolis cities. He experienced those. So the whole idea is the human form of life is not meant for wasting our time and energy, very vital energy, for simply working hard so that we can have bigger bank balance to possess more and more things. In the meantime, the life is passing by and we are losing the precious moments of our life without creating any sweet memories, even in the material sense. But even the sweet memories created in the material sense are finished after death. When the person dies, suppose, I may have some sweet memories with my parents. I may have some pictures also with my parents. They are gone now. So I may relish those pictures or memories. But once I die, those pictures will have no relevance in the life of our children. And once they are dead and gone, the grandchildren, they will have absolutely no relevance of those memories. They will just throw them in the garbage. So even the material, moment that we collect, they become irrelevant. But the spiritual memories or the impressions which are created through practice of Krishna consciousness, they are everlasting. They are not forgotten, even after millions of lifetimes. Krishna consciousness, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, so alpam apiyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Even little effort or little endeavor put to cultivate Krishna consciousness becomes an eternal asset, which will remain with us lifetime after lifetime. Text 12. Chitradhatu vichitranin iva bhagna bhuja druman jalashayan chiva jalan nalina surasevita chitrasvanai patra rather vibramad brahmara shriya. I passed through hills and mountains full of reservoir of various minerals like gold, silver, and copper, and through tracts of land with reservoir of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for dungeons of heaven, decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. So these are the different places he's passing through. You see, the modern greed of the industrialist have actually made this whole world into a hellish place. If you go to, uh, South Africa, the Amazon jungles, even the Amazon jungles have been completely wiped out. Why? Because some greedy industrialists, they simply want more and more. It's actually very interesting. Just imagine uh, the big industries. They're working very hard to create uh, the different things to promote. Say, for example, uh, the car industry or even pharmaceutical industry, for example. In the pharmaceutical industry, they are producing tons and tons of drugs or different medicines. First of all, those medicines, especially the modern allopathic medicines, they do more and more harm to the human body. They're not meant for really curing. In fact, you take any medication which is a prescription, which comes with prescription, they always have warning that this medication can even cause death. Just imagine. They have warning that this medication can cause even death. And they still sell it. But the person who has created this pharmaceutical industry, for example, even in spite of earning millions and millions of dollars, how much the person can really enjoy? The enjoyment is done in the terms of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Eating, how much eating a person can do just because he's a millionaire, how much eating he can do. Still can eat 2 sandwiches in the morning, little bit, rice, dal, sabji maybe in the afternoon, and light dinner. Maybe having, somebody has good appetite, can have 4 meals in a day or 5 meals in a day. How much we can eat? But for that, they're exploiting the natural resources and destroying the nature so that they can have apparently more and more assets. In terms of sleeping, when you sleep, Prabhupada gives example, just like when we sleep in a very sophisticated bed. Nowadays, there are so many varieties of beds come. Because people don't get sleep. In fact, Chanai Pandit says 3 things. A person who lies down and immediately goes to sleep. A person who has a lot of money to prepare nice foodstuffs and at the same time has good appetite and digestion without any disease. And a person who has a lot of money at the same time has a very magnanimous heart to give charity. These are not the results of some ordinary piety. The person must be very, super pious, has some extraordinary credentials. Where you see in today's day and age, people struggle with sleep. They may work very hard, but sleeping in the night is a big challenge. And similarly, say eating, sleeping, but animals, they can actually easily go and sleep in the forest. A deer may lie in the forest down and goes to sleep. Birds may just go enter in the tree nest and they can lie down and they can easily go to sleep. So, in spite of having huge bank balance, having sophisticated bed, having so many different sleeping pills or drugs, still sleep is a rare commodity. But even if I have, suppose, I'm a multi-millionaire, when I sleep on a very soft bed or mattress, an animal sleeps in the forest, the quality of sleep is same. The purpose of sleep is only same, to revive from the fatigue. Sex. Now, how much a human being can enjoy sex life? Even if person has a lot of money and can maintain many wives or or many affairs, still how much a person can really enjoy? And defense in similar way. We can defend only as much as our karma allows. When the death is supposed to come, no matter how much defense we may have, we must die. I remember we had a nice devotee in Mumbai, brahmachari. So he used to go for distributing books. So he would go sometime in Mumbai. There's a place called Mantralaya. So there in Mantralaya, there are a lot of residential places which are for all the ministers and people who are, government, employees, especially, high-profile government employees like ministers and all, who have some ministerial position. So he would go sometime to that residential area to distribute books, and the guards, because it was a gated community kind of thing, they would not let him go inside. No, you cannot go inside. They would not let him go inside any home. They don't know this is a secured area. This is mantri, so you cannot go there. So one time when he was distributing books, he was going that side. He saw a lot of crowd there. So he asked the watchman. Watchman had developed some kind of friendship with him. He would never let him go inside, but he developed friendship with him. So he asked him, "What happened, sir? Why there's so much crowd today?" He said, "The minister died." He said, "Oh, how did he die?" He said he had a heart attack. He said, "Then what you are doing here?" He asked the guard, "What you are doing here?" "What do you mean?" "Hey, you are supposed to be protecting him, right?" So the guard looked a little surprised, said, "What do you mean? If he's having a heart attack, how can I protect him?" So he started joking with him. He said, "You, in spite of you being here, he died inside, right? So what is the value of you being here, protecting him, not letting me go inside?" So the whole idea is, no matter how much money and how much protection we can arrange for ourselves, eventually when the death comes, person must die. No matter who's trying to protect us, will die. Prabhupada gives example from the Puranas. A little bird, he saw Yamaraj, and Yamaraj is looking at him in great amazement. So the bird took shelter of Garuda. He said, "Garudev, please protect me. Yamaraj is looking at me with strange eyes, and I'm very scared." So bird said, "Don't worry." And the Garuda said, "Don't worry. I'll take you far away from Yamaraj." So he made the bird sit on his back, and Garuda can fly. So Garuda flew all the way to Loka mountain. Loka mountain is millions of miles away from here, from the earth where we live in. It's in Bhumandala only, but it's millions of miles away. So he took the bird to the Loka mountain, beyond Pushkar Dweep. Beyond Pushkar Dweep, there is the ocean. Beyond ocean is the Loka mountain. So as soon as the Garuda reached Loka mountain, the bird dropped down dead. So Garuda got surprised. "Hey, I brought this bird here so far. How did he die?" So Yamaraj was there. Yamaraj smiling. And Garuda said, "Why you're smiling? I brought him here to save him from you." Yamaraj said, "I was wondering, when I was looking at the bird, I was wondering, because according to my chart, the position where the bird will die is this Loka mountain. But he was sitting in Bhumandal. I was thinking, this small tiny bird, his time is coming closer. How will he reach to Lokaloka mountain? I'm not supposed to kill him in the Bhumandal. I'm supposed to kill him in the Lokaloka mountain. But that is millions of miles away. This bird has no capacity to fly. So I was wondering how he will reach there. And you did my job. You brought him here. So no matter how much we may try to make arrangements, but the time of death comes, you must die. So in terms of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, we cannot go beyond our limits. But people in this world work very hard, struggle very hard, simply for the purpose of accumulating more and more. We'll try to read a few more verses here because I think, let me see. Okay, couple of more verses. Text 13. Nalavenu Sharastamba Kushaki Chaka Gahavaram Eka Eva Tyato Ham Adraksham Vipinam Mahat Ghoram Prati Bhayakaram Vyalo Tuka Shivajiram. I then pass alone through many forests of rushes, bamboos, reeds, sharp grass, weed, and caves, which were very difficult to go through alone. I visited deep, dark, and dangerously fearful forests, which were the play yards of snakes, owls, and jackals. And last 14th verse. Parishrantendriyatmaham triparito babukshita snatva pitva hriday nadya upasprishto gatashrama. Thus traveling, I felt tired, both bodily and mentally, and I was both thirsty and hungry. So I took a bath in a river, lake, and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. So we understand from here these two verses one very important, significant lesson. Narada Muni was a small child. He went through all these forests and dangerously fearful forests alone. One may think how a small child like Narada could do that. If a child goes alone to the forest, he'll be perhaps killed by a dangerous animal. A wild animal will kill him and eat him. That is not true. His Holiness Radhan Swami Maharaj was telling once in the lecture, he heard from sadhus, because he used to live with, he lived in Ayodhya with sadhus, and he was living in Vrindavan also with, some sadhus. So when he was living in Himalayas also, some sadhus told him, the Maharaj was, I think, sharing Himalayan or Ayodhya sadhus, they told him that a person who does not eat meat and a person who does not do unnecessary violence to other living entities, even if he goes into the thick, deep forest infested with ferocious animals, he will be unharmed. Because the person has no karma. He has never unnecessarily tortured or tormented other living entities. People who kill animals for eating purpose, or people who indulge in meat eating and supporting the animal killing in that way, they create heavy karma. But a person, even a small child who has no such karma, can walk into the deep forest infested with dangerous animals and will come out unharmed. They will leave him alone. And because Narada Muni was a, Krishna conscious, boy, he was unharmed. He could travel fearlessly everywhere. And the 14th verse he actually explained. Very significant point is that he was, by traveling he was tired, but by coming in contact with water, by taking bath and drinking, both ways, he was refreshed. So water is actually very refreshing. But unfortunately, in modern industrialization, the water sources are also becoming polluted, because the industrialists have become so greedy. In fact, in US, which is being ruled by the industrialists, big industrialists, is becoming more and more difficult place to live. If somebody wants to live off the ridge, these industrialists, they make their life impossible to live. If a person is not depending on electricity and city supplied water, even few people, these industrialists start becoming afraid. They make their life impossible to live. There are so many examples in US, especially. And even water is becoming a rare commodity now. I remember some time ago, somebody had posted the Nestle's CEO. He made a statement. Who says that the water should be freely available to everyone? In my opinion, water is a product which should be sold. It should not be freely available to everyone. Just imagine such sinful and degraded Vaishyas, people who are in the name of industrialists are living around. And this makes the life in Kali Yuga more and more difficult. But from Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand, when such Shudras and lower than Shudras are not in power, the nature actually becomes beautiful. The world becomes actually more and more beautiful place. It's only the exploitative mentality of the uncivilized human beings that makes this world into a hellish place. So these narrations of Narada Muni describing how he was, when he was wandering all over the world, how the world was and how he actually could sustain himself, is a beautiful lesson for people who want to actually perfect their life without becoming more and more entangled in increasing the necessities of life. Because Krishna conscious life means simple living, high thinking. Just get the simple necessities of life, by little bit endeavor, and spend more and more time for perfecting our life in Krishna consciousness. So I think we'll stop here. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, you may ask. Otherwise, we can stop here.